class, we're going to use a couple of blocks, a yoga strap, and possibly a blanket. So if you want to come down onto the hands and knees, and we'll meet in child's pose. So taking the knees off wide to the edges of your mat, sinking the hips down, and just letting the forehead rest on the mat. You can also use your blanket here if that feels better on your neck, giving you more alignment. But wherever you are, find a couple of moments to settle in. Closing the eyes if they aren't already. Taking the attention inward to that space between the eyebrows where the forehead contacts the ground. So that's your third eye space. Trying to create an internal awareness of how you're feeling today. Maybe some things have been going on this week, or maybe you've had a wonderful week. Whatever that is for you, we can acknowledge that, but then we can push that off to the side for a moment, carving out this time and this space for you to be with yourself, your breath, and your own body. Inhale deeply through the nose, exhale through the mouth, completely letting it go, emptying out the entire breath, emptying out all of the lungs. And then begin to return the breath to a normal state. So finding a rhythm that feels good for you, sinking the hips down, trying to relax the pelvic floor, feeling the belly as it presses into the thighs with each inhale. Softening throughout the shoulders, the upper arms. Try to relax the jaw, soften the throat. And then begin to rock the forehead from side to side, massaging that space above the eyebrows, releasing tension in the neck. And then find some stillness here. We're going to reach the fingertips up overhead, pressing onto those fingertips. Peel the forehead off of the ground. Nice long spine as you walk the fingertips off to your left. Anchor the right hip down to the ground to feel that stretch throughout the entire right side of the body. Breathing into that rib cage, exhaling to release. And then walking your fingertips back through center and off to the right side of your mat. Anchor the left hip down to the ground, creating length throughout the side body. And then walking the fingertips back through center, we're pressing our way up into tabletop, stacking the shoulders over the wrists, the hips over the knees. Spreading your fingertips out nice and wide, begin to drop the belly down for cow pose. Looking upward to the ceiling, and then exhale, draw the belly in, rounding the spine, taking your gaze down to the thighs. Alternating here between cat and cow, finding your own rhythm, your own pace. And then finding length throughout the spine. We're driving that right heel to the back of your mat. So all of that weight is going to be on your left leg. Try to draw the belly up and in to create a nice long line from the top of the head to the tailbone. Pulse that leg up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold and extend the left arm out overhead. So now we have a long line from the middle finger all the way down to the heel. Creating balance, creating support in the core. And then exhale, release everything down to the ground. Nice job. Other side, shifting your weight onto the right knee. Extend that left leg long behind you, driving that heel to the back of your mat. Keep the belly drawn in. Keep the core nice and active here. And then pulse that heel up to the ceiling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Extend that right arm up overhead. Still trying to keep the belly drawn into the spine, reaching from the fingertip all the way through the heel. A nice energetic line throughout the entire body. And then exhale, release everything to the ground. Nice job. Shifting your weight onto the left hand, we're reaching the right arm up for a twist. Exhale to thread the needle, reaching that right arm through that space underneath the left. Resting your ear down on the shoulder, or down on the floor rather. Press the shoulder into the floor. Thread the needle. We're just creating a gentle twist in the spine. Pressing into your left hand, unwind from that twist, reaching the right hand up to the ceiling, and then placing it back down on the ground. Other side, let's shift your weight onto the right hand, floating the left arm up for a twist, and then exhale, releasing the ear down to the ground, threading that arm through. Taking a couple moments here to find your breath. Pressing into that right hand to unwind from the twist, reaching the left arm up and then placing it back on the ground. Roll up onto your knees for a moment. We're inhaling to sweep both arms up overhead, and then exhale to take a twist off to your left. So we're opening up the hands into this T position. Okay, so where I feel this is not only in the mid-back, but also feeling it in the outer hips. Squeeze that outer hip to deepen your twist. And then release the hands back up overhead, taking your twist off to the right. Squeezing that right outer hip to deepen your twist. And then release the hands back up overhead. Take them to heart center for a moment. Just noticing what you're feeling in your body this morning. Trying to send the breath back into the ribs here. And then exhale, take the hands down to the ground, setting ourselves up successfully for our downward facing dog. Index fingers face the front of your mat, fingers spread out wide. Tuck those toes, hover the knees for a moment to engage the core. And then exhale to send the hips up and back. You can keep the knees bent here. The point of this pose is how long can you get your spine, and not so much how straight can you get your knees. Okay. Take a couple of moments here to settle in, maybe pedaling the heel left, right, left, right. Take the gaze up between the hands, shifting the shoulders over the wrist for high plank, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can begin to march your feet up to meet the hands at the top of your mat. Once you get there, we'll meet in flat back, sliding the hands up the shins. Taking your time. Once you get there, loop the shoulders down and back. Peel the chest forward. Inhale, sweep both arms up overhead. Exhale, little back bend if that feels good for you. And then exhale, release, taking the hands back down to the shins. Bending both knees. Peeling that chest up for chair pose. We're squeezing the knees together, squeezing the hips together. Sweep the arms forward. Sink down a little lower. Saying hello to those hips. And then if your blocks are nearby, you can go ahead and grab those. Okay, so we're bending both knees, taking the fingertips to the floor. Step your left foot back behind you so that your feet are on your railroad tracks. You can use the blocks to bring the floor up to you, pressing into the blocks to peel the chest up for crescent lunge. Sinking the hips directly down and not gliding forward. Okay. Holding, finding your breath here for a couple of moments. Exhale, release the back knee to the ground and untuck the toe. Shift your hips back so that we're straightening the front knee, flipping the toes up. Okay. You can walk your blocks back so that you can find some length throughout the spine. Okay, so this might be enough of a stretch for you. Otherwise, you can hinge forward at the hips. Now, finding the balance here between effort and ease. Not overstretching, but still feeling some tension throughout the back of the leg. Now rotate your foot in and out to find a different experience. Great job. Bend that front knee, shifting your knee over the ankle, hands or blocks come up to frame the foot. Okay. Flip that front block down so that it's inside the arch of the foot. Place the hand on the block, tuck the back toe, hover the knee. Coming into a lunge twist, we're rotating the body so that the right hand comes up to the ceiling. Try to get your right hip in line, so right in the middle of your mat. It's a nice hip stretch when we find that alignment here. And then let's release the twist, taking that knee to the ground. Untuck the toe. And let's come up into a tall kneeling position. So we're squeezing that back glute to lift up through the top of the head. And then heel toe the right foot off to the edge of your mat. Reaching that left hand up and over for a nice side body stretch. And then release to come back through center. Heel toeing your foot back into the center of your mat. Move your block off to the side. Okay. Place both hands on the ground. We're going to tuck that front toe, hover the knee, and then see if you can swing to step that right foot back behind you and land in high plank, and then send the hips up and back to our downward facing dog. Great job. Alternate pedaling the heels here. Try to slide the shoulder blades down into your back pockets. Dive the chest down, and then find a moment of stillness here. Take the gaze up between the hands. We're marching the feet up to meet the hands at the top of your mat, meeting in flat back. You get there, take a couple of moments to recenter, to refocus. And then sweep both hands up overhead. Little back bend here if that feels good. Taking the hands to heart center for a moment in mountain pose. Let's bend both knees, taking the hands to the floor, this time stepping your right foot back, finding our crescent lunge. You can use your blocks to press into to peel the chest up. Sink the hips down, not forward, but down. Now I feel a nice stretch throughout the front of the hip of the legs that is extended back behind me. You might feel it somewhere else. Exhale, release that knee to the ground, untuck the toe. Shift the hips back, sliding the blocks back, flipping the front toes up. Pressing into your yoga blocks, growing tall through the crown. And then leading with the chest hinging forward at the hips. Continue to ease into this pose, finding your breath. And let's rotate that foot, turning in and out. Great job. Place the foot flat, sliding that knee over the ankle and moving that block off to the top of your mat. Okay. Take one of those blocks and flip it on its shorter side inside the foot and place your right hand on that block. Tuck the back toe, hover the knee, and extend that left hand up, taking a gentle twist of the spine, trying to glide that left hip into midline. So we're not hanging out to the side, but keeping that in line. Find your breath here. And then exhale, release the knee to the ground, untuck the toe, come on up into a tall kneeling position, placing the hands on the hips, engaging that glute muscle in the back. Heel toe that left foot off to the side of your mat, reaching the right arm up and over for a side body stretch. And then release to come back through center, heel toeing that foot back into the middle of your mat. You can move your block off to the side. Place the hands on the ground and tuck that back toe to hover the knee. Can you step that left foot back behind you to find high plank? And then send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Maybe you can get your knees a little straighter this time, alternating, pedaling the heels. But don't compromise the length in the spine. Take the gaze up between the hands. Let's march the feet up to meet the hands at the top of your mat. And this time we're rolling all the way up into mountain pose. Keeping that head heavy. Head is the last thing that comes up. Okay, let's loop the shoulders down and back. Spiral the palms to face forward for a moment. Feeling that contact of all 10 toes into the ground below you. Feeling the ball of the big toe, the ball of the pinky toe, and the heel. This triangular shape throughout the foot. This is our base. This is our center, our connection to the earth. Take the hands to heart center and shift onto the right foot, finding that triangular shape. So ball of big toe, ball of pinky toe, and heel. And then bring the sole of the foot to the inner ankle, inner shin, or inner thigh, whatever feels good for you today. Find your focal point in front of you with the gaze. Press the knee open. And then grow your branches up tall if that's in your practice today. Continue to balance and hold here. Finding some ease. And then release the foot, catching the knee with lace fingers, so working that balance a little more. Half staff pose. And then send that leg back behind you to find our warrior two, placing that foot gently on the floor. Sink down into that front thigh. Reach the fingertips out long and try to soften the shoulders away from the ears. So see what you can discover in your body in this pose. What can you let go of a little more? Are you holding on to tension anywhere you don't need it? Maybe lifting the toes, maybe relaxing the shoulders and the jaw. See what you can play around with activating a little more. Maybe it's somewhere in the core, maybe it's somewhere in the glutes, whatever that is for you. And then flip your front palm up to the ceiling. Reverse warrior, take your back hand to your back knee. Keep reaching up through the fingertips and sinking down into that front leg. Coming back up into warrior two, take the front elbow to front knee. Extended side angle, hand can come up straight up or arm can frame the ear. Either position is fine. We just want to drop the shoulder away from the ear wherever you are. Sink down into that front thigh. Sweep that upper hand down and around. We're coming into our wide-legged forward fold. Okay, so you have a couple of options here. You can bring that block underneath so you can take the floor up to you. And we can turn those toes outward. So taking a couple moments here just to find our flat back, tucking the chin in. Long line from crown of the head down to the tailbone. Inhale, exhale. Okay, turning to the back of your mat. Bend that knee and roll your way up into warrior two on the other side. Reaching those fingertips out long, taking the gaze down that middle finger. Once again, seeing what we can let go of here. Where can we soften? Maybe it's the shoulders, maybe releasing tension in the thighs, the toes. And then flipping the front palm up to the ceiling. Exhale, reverse warrior, back hand to back knee. Reaching the fingertips up, sinking down into that front thigh. And then coming back up into warrior two, take the front elbow to front knee, reaching that back hand either up to the ceiling or taking it to frame the ear. Either way is fine, but we're dropping the shoulder down and away from the ear. And then sweeping that hand down and around, taking the hands back up to your block once again for this wide-legged forward fold. Okay, so heel toe your feet in just a little bit, and then we're rolling our way up into standing here. So 5-pointed star. Extend the arms out long overhead. Exhale, bending at the knees, taking the hands down into field goal arms. Sink down into those thighs for goddess pose. Press the knees to the back of your mat. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. Take the hands to heart center and straighten those knees. Rotate the feet so that the toes turn forward. Feet are parallel here. So shifting your way over to that right knee. We're bending that knee for a side lunge and then coming back up to center and then side lunging to the other side. So we're just alternating here between right and left. But I'm going to turn sideways to show you what we're talking about here. So when you come sideways, we don't want that knee to go so far forward that the heel is popping up off the ground. So we actually want to get the knee behind the toe and then stick our butt back. So we are allowed to kind of hinge forward. The upper chest comes forward. And then press up and go to the other side. Now you might notice that you can feel that in your quads a little more, which is exactly what we want to be doing. Inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. Next time through, we're taking the hands up overhead and then back to heart center. Hands overhead, back to heart center. Let's take that 2 more times on each side. Hands overhead, back to heart center, and then 1 more. Excellent job. Reaching those hands up, finding your center, taking them to heart. Go ahead and heel toe the feet back into the middle here. Okay, so coming into Malasana or our yogic squat, this is something that we haven't played around with too much. So grab both of your blocks. We're going to stack one block on top of the other and place it in the center of your mat. Okay, so now that our hips are warmed up, we're coming just in front of those blocks. So eventually we're going to sit down on the blocks, but toes are turned out. The feet are just a little more than shoulder distance apart. Take both hands to heart center and begin to bend the knees, sending the hips back down to your blocks. You just got to trust your equipment, trust that it's there. And the best thing is if you fall off of your blocks, you can just get right back up. Okay? So now that we're on our blocks, we're taking the elbows and pressing them inside the knees. Palms are together. The more that you drop the hands down, the more pressure you can put on the elbows into the knees. Lifting up through the chest. Find your breath. All right, release the hands down to the ground. Shift your way over forward and then work your way back up to standing. Take your blocks with you so you can move them off to the side. Great job. Inhale to sweep both hands up overhead. Exhale to hinge forward at the hips. Soft bend in those knees as you step the right foot back and then the left foot back. High plank, push the floor away from you. Draw the belly into the spine, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Softly lower the knees to the ground and sit down on your bottom, extending both legs out long. Keeping the knees and toes pointed up to the ceiling, we're inhaling to grow tall through the crown of the head, and then exhaling to hinge forward at the hips, creating a lift throughout the sternum. And then walking the fingertips back up, bending that right knee, drawing the foot into the inner thigh. Back of the hand comes inside the knee as we reach that right arm up and over for our side body stretch. And then release that right hand behind you, pressing into the hand, sweeping the left arm up and sending the hips up. For a modified fallen triangle pose. And then exhale, release the hand to the ground, swapping those feet out, taking the sole of the foot inside the shin, or inside the thigh rather. Back of the hand inside the knee, reaching the right arm up and over first. Side body stretch. Anchoring the hip down to the ground. Taking the gaze up and underneath the arm. And then releasing to come back up, rooting that left hand behind you, sweeping the right arm up. And then exhale, release the hips back down to the ground. Rolling over onto your back, you want your yoga strap nearby and one block nearby. Roll it all the way down and just let go for a moment, just taking up this space. Reconnecting with your breath, taking that intention inward to the third eye space. Walk your feet out to the edge of your yoga mat. Arms come out into a T position and just let both knees fall inward, creating a nice stretch in the outer hip for a moment. We're going to hold here in this restorative like pose. With every exhale, you're just trying to let go of any tension that the body might be holding on to, just to access a little more stretch in this pose. Continue to work on the breath. Continue to hold here and let go. And then releasing the feet back to the floor flat. Go ahead and heel toe the feet back into the middle of your mat. So get those feet nice and close together. This time we're taking the soles of the feet together and letting the knees fall open, kind of like we're opening a book here. This time stretching the inner thigh. Inhale deeply and exhale completely, just letting go. Keep letting go, keep letting the body melt into the ground. Release the knees back up to center, aligning the feet with the hips. Walk your heels back up toward your seat. And let's grab onto one of those yoga blocks and place it between the knees. Gently squeeze that block as you take the hands down by the hips, pressing into the palms, send the hips up to the ceiling for bridge pose, gently squeezing that block. You can lace the fingers under the shoulders and roll over onto your right shoulder so that we can tuck the left one under, and then roll onto the left shoulder so that we can tuck the right one under. This is just creating a little expansion across the chest for improving our posture, getting more of that back bend. Squeeze those glutes, squeeze the knees together. And we're here and holding for 5. Release the fingers, exhale, lowering down one spinal segment at a time until the tailbone is the last thing that comes in contact with the ground. You can move your yoga block off to the side. Hugging both knees into the chest. Peel your forehead up to make more of a connection of the forehead to the knees. Squeeze, 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 and continue holding that right knee into the chest as you extend that left leg long, hovering it over your mat for just a moment. And then exhale, slowly lower the head and the foot down to the ground. Keep hugging that right knee to chest. Grabbing onto that knee with the right hand, begin to lower that knee down and out to the right side. Inhale deeply and exhale. Taking that knee across the body, grabbing it with the left hand, and accessing a gentle spinal twist here, feeling a nice stretch throughout the right hip. Release to come back through center, hugging both knees into the chest. Peel your forehead up toward the knees. Continue to hold and squeeze. Continue hugging that left knee in as you extend the right leg out long, hovering it for a moment over your yoga mat. And then exhale, slowly lower everything down to the ground. Taking that left hand onto the knee, go ahead and lower that leg down and out to the left side. Taking the knee across the body, rotating at the spine, letting that knee come down. Trying to find a stretch throughout the left outer hip. Enjoying this gentle twist. Release to come back up through center, bending both knees, planting the feet flat on the ground. Arms come out into a T position and heel toe your feet out to the edges of your yoga mat. Or just windshield wipering the knees from side to side. Find some stillness here as you walk the feet back into the center of your mat. Crisscrossing the right foot over the left knee, gently press that knee away from you, opening up at the hip. Take a couple of moments here to breathe. Extend your arms out into a T position and begin to rock the knee from side to side, just cradling the shin. And then find stillness, uncrossing that foot. Taking the left foot over the right knee, pressing that knee away from you, opening up at the hip. And begin to rock the knee from side to side. Find your center, uncrossing the foot, taking it back down to the earth. Take a couple of moments to notice the differences between right and left sides of the body. What's feeling good here? Taking your yoga strap, you can loop it around the ball of the right foot. Coming into supine extended hand to toe, we're extending that leg out long. Wherever you are, we're finding shoulders engaged, not straining, finding a position where you can feel a stretch, but no discomfort. Grab both ends of the strap with your right hand. Anchor the left hip down to the ground and begin to lower that right leg down and out to the side again, keeping that shoulder active. Continue to hold and breathe here. It doesn't matter as far down as that leg goes. We're just trying to stay active in the core muscles or abdominals. And then draw the belly into the spine. So try to flatten that low back with the mat as you bring that leg back up to center. Stepping the other foot in to that loop. Draw your toes up to the shins to create length through the back of the leg. Active in the shoulders here. Finding some ease in this pose. What can you let go of to make a little more space, a little more room for this stretch? And then putting both straps in that left hand, begin to lower that left leg down and out to the side as you pin the right hip to the ground. Release to come back up through center. Taking your foot out of that strap, moving the yoga strap off to your side. Let's take any other pose that you feel like your body might need, any other stretch that would feel good for you. You can grab anything to make you more comfortable for your Shavasana. And when you feel ready, you can extend both legs out long, letting the toes fall open, letting the hips relax. Try to create space throughout the chest, creating length in the back of the neck by gently tucking the chin in. Once you settle in, go ahead and close your eyes if they aren't already. Giving yourself permission to make any adjustments to make yourself even more comfortable. Try to soften the eyes, relax the jaw, releasing tension in the throat, the neck, the shoulders. Feeling the expanding and the contracting of the lungs with every inhale and exhale. Seeing if we can send that breath deeper into the lungs. And we do this by lifting the belly when we inhale and releasing the belly as we exhale. Try to relax the pelvic floor, the hips, the low back. Letting go of tension in the glutes, the inner thigh, the front of the thighs, the outer hips. Scanning down the thighs all the way to the knees. Feeling so relaxed, just letting go. Taking the attention to the lower leg, feeling the contact of the calf muscle on the ground below you, feeling supported, connected. Noticing the contact of the heels in the ground. Releasing energy through the soles of the feet, our connection to the earth. Drawing that energy up through the earth, pulling it up through all of the body, from the feet to the ankles, to the knees, up to the hips, the wrists, the abdominal, the shoulders, and the heart, the neck, and all the way up to that space between the eyebrows, and allow it to be released through the crown of the head. When you exhale, release all tension, sinking lower into the ground. Feeling that energy, that prana, the life force that you have created with your practice. When you feel ready, you can begin to make small movements with the fingers, with the toes, taking your time to bend one knee so that you can roll over onto your side. Pressing your fingers into the ground below you, keeping the head heavy as you work your way up to a seated position. Lifting up tall through the crown. And let's take hands to heart center. Feeling this connection between your mind, your body, your spirit that you've created within your practice. And may you feel this balance and harmony carried with you throughout your day, throughout your week. And may you have peace in your thoughts, in your words, and in your heart. from mine to yours. Namaste.